Like, it's all insanely mismanaged. And then this guy is on television talking about, ooh, really excited about that. Doing a dance in front of the burned down home that people used to sleep in. Like, this is so disgusting.
When asked why so many of the hydrants in the Palisades ran out of water, Governor Newsom said the local folks are trying to figure that out. Yeah, you got to do that before the fire.
In this video today, Joe Rogan and Bill Maher slammed Gavin Newsom over his incompetence in regard to the wildfires. New details, actually, about the wildfires that is just heartbreaking. And there are more details about Trump's inauguration and what continues to change. He might be sworn in the White House due to security reasons. These stories and more in this video today, but let's start with what Joe Rogan had to say.
And he did this little dance, like, I've been talking with these, you know, with the governor of Hawaii about what to do. We got some ideas, I speculate we're going to have some meetings. Like, he's
really?
This. Oh, show it to him, Jamie. It's so creepy because it's happening while these people are, their houses have been burned, all their childhood memorabilia, all the stuff for their kids, the photos, the fucking everything they have is gone. All heirlooms, you know, their mother's wedding ring, that kind of shit. Everything's burnt to the ground. And this guy's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plans.
Watch this. Play this. And give me.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
With a big smile on his face. Look at the little wiggle he does with his shoulders. Speculator, watch this. Talking to Josh. Look at this. Look at this little wiggle. It's excited about the possibilities of speculators coming in.
Yeah, that's the thing about Gavin Newsom that I've always found interesting is his hand gestures, how he moves. And we know, like, he's not present. It's as if you're speaking to a sociopath, or it's like you're speaking to a robot, you know, a career politician. They just tell you what you want to hear. Et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's some more chilling details that are continuing to come out about the fires and these victims who lost their homes in the fire, which I'll get to here shortly. But let's finish where Joe Rogan really tears into Gavin Newsom. Watch this.
And he's saying we're move forward. We're going to move forward on that. These people lost their homes. A lot of those people don't even have fire insurance because the fire insurance pulled out of California. Like, I think like 69% of fire insurance pulled out of California because they're like, this is too crazy. Like, you guys aren't doing jack shit to manage this. You're not clearing the brush. The amount of money they could have saved by just clearing brush, by filling the reservoir, that 11 million gallon reservoir was completely empty during the time of full fire season. Like, why didn't you fix that?
Yeah.
Like, it's all insanely mismanaged. And then this guy is on television talking about, ooh, really excited about that. Doing a dance in front of the burned down home that people used to sleep in, where their children would sleep in. Like, this is so disgusting.
Yeah, there are so many things disgusting about this entire tragedy. We've been talking about it ever since it kicked off, of course. And there's just additional details now that is just really going to break your heart. Now, here's News Nation reporting on this, that there are homeowners who their home is still standing or somewhat standing, and they are basically creating these fake press passes in order to get access to their home so they could take photos for their insurance companies. It's just crazy. Watch this.
And she says it's really just devastating to see. This is the first time many people are actually getting a chance to see their homes and their businesses because they haven't been allowed to get in. It's very strict. The National Guard is making sure that you have your ID that has your address. And for us as well, we've had to show our press pass to be able to get in. And in fact, just yesterday, we had a National Guards member tell us that they've even seen fake press passes because so many homeowners were just trying to get in. And I spoke with a homeowner in the Pacific Palisades last night who told me he knew one of his neighbors had made a fake news pass just to be able to go in there and take pictures of his home so that he could give to his insurance company to be able to get some kind of relief right now, Adrian.
And every time I've heard about this story, it's so sad that they can't go back. But there are too many looters who are pretending that they belong in those neighborhoods, and that's been the primary concern.
Well, why can't you just do both at the same time? Allow police presence to be up and down the neighborhood, but also allow people to access their home. I mean, I find it so crazy that the governor comes out and says he wants to make it easy for people to recover from this tragedy. But everywhere we look, there seems to be some level of resistance or roadblock or red tape that's preventing homeowners from doing that. Now, I didn't lose my home in the fire, so I'm not really experiencing this. I'm just going based off what is being reported, what we've been able to research. But this is what they are saying is happening on the ground. And that brings us to the question, what about the people that did lose their home? What are they actually going to do? What are they exactly going to do? Well, here is a real estate mogul is what they're calling him. And he's been going viral because he has been on the phone with a lot of these homeowners. And he also gets into some of the issues that is taking place with the real estate. Let's hear what he had to say.
What's the vibe like? Obviously, you've said you've had friends that have lost homes in the Palisades. What's the vibe like? Do they want to move back to the Palisades? Are they considering moving elsewhere? Do they?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Look, this is hard to say. I strongly believe that 50% of the people who lived in the Palisades are not going to be moving back to the Palisades.
Why?
Yeah, and honestly, that number wasn't as big last week in my mind, but after the phone calls that I've been getting, people who are moving to Brentwood, Santa Monica, Bel Air, Beverly Hills, those are going to be the markets that are going to go up because people want to be as close to normalcy as possible.
Yeah.
And those are those towns right around the Palisades.
Yeah.
Those are going to go up, that market, that's where they're going to move. It's going to be too long. You got to realize Palisades is the all-American town, right?
Yeah.
The families are running around. It's like what you picture towns in movies that we used to watch.
Yeah.
These kids that are 5 years old right now that live in the Palisades and go to school, there's a chance that if things don't move fast, it could be 4 to 5 years before they're back there. These kids are now 10. They're going to different schools,
right,
different lives now, you know, so it's tough.
Yeah, now if that wasn't clear, I'll give it to you in a more simpler way, which is that at least half of these people will not return. They will try to sell whatever they can of their land or whatever's left of their structure and the land, and they'll move on, whether that is moving into the OC, Orange County, or moving somewhere in another area of Los Angeles, or they're also reporting that there's a lot of people thinking about moving out of state. And we're talking about people who are older, okay? We're not talking about young people, all right? So there's that. Now, if you were to look at the betting markets, particularly on Kalshi.com, this is the website I'm on here, will there be a recall election for Karen Bass this year? 60% chance. Now, it was just on January 12th. It was a 72% chance, but looked like it has averaged out. So more likely there will be one before next year of January 1st. Also, it seems here that Gavin Newsom, a lot of people believe he will not resign before March of this year, only giving him a 3% chance. Now, what's interesting about this website is it allows you to trade, whether that's buy or sell, based on events that are happening in real life. So whether it's what I'm talking about right now politically, or you could talk about economics or culture, all of these things you could find on this particular website here. Now, remember, the betting markets were actually the most accurate predictor of what happened in the past election. They had Donald Trump winning. So if you want to know exactly what the betting markets are saying and what they are predicting to happen, especially politically, you can go to Kalshi.com/Devori. That is Kalshi, KALSHI.com/Devori, or hit the link in the description below, and they're going to give you a $10 credit on your first trade. Now, in regards to these wildfires, Bill Maher has finally spoken out, and he's just slamming Karen Bass and the Democrats for their woke policies. And although we know Bill Maher still voted for Kamala Harris, we'll probably vote for her again, of course, because he's that delusional. I guess there's some irony in what he had to say, and it really shows how outraged Democrats are about all this. Watch this.
Axios ran a story on how getting the water out of the hydrants in Pacific Palisades was more complicated than it seems. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's very complicated. That's why I pay 13% of my income in this state every year to people who I assumed were working on things like this. When asked why so many of the hydrants in the Palisades ran out of water, Governor Newsom said the local folks are trying to figure that out. Yeah, you got to do that before the fire. Exposed power lines keep causing fires and keep not getting buried underground because it's expensive. I've heard people say, do you want to pay more taxes to fund this? No. I want you to use the exorbitant taxes you already collect to prioritize it. California is the place that spends money and gets nothing, which is why you may have noticed when the fires broke out, no one escaped by high-speed rail.
Now, I was on an X Space the other night, and the question was, what is one thing that you would do to bring California back to greatness? And my answer was this: we have to allow California to fail. And failing means that lives will have to be lost, because I believe that's the only way that the supermajority of Democrats will be voted out. Because right now, even though the Palisades burned down, they don't represent the rest of the state. The state has 44 million people who live here, and that's American citizens. We're not even counting illegals, right? The bottom line here is I still don't believe this is enough that's going to create change for California. Yes, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass will be out, but they'll just vote the same people back in. And why is that? Because, again, no voter ID, and that the supermajority is still in power, and it's going to take way more than this. Half of the state will need to burn down before they change the way that they vote. That's just my own personal opinion. Now we're going to move to this next story, which is Mike Johnson exposing some stunning details about Joe Biden and how he didn't even know the executive orders that he had signed. But I have a reaction specifically for Mike Johnson as he explains this. But let's watch the clip first.
This is probably third week of January. We sit down, we're in the midst of it, and the whole conversation, and I'm going, we don't need to have this conversation. The president reaches over just like this. We're sitting right next to the fireplace in the Oval, and he grabs my arm and he says, "The speaker and I just need a couple minutes together. Would y'all just leave us alone?" And I looked up on the faces of some of the staff standing around the wall, and they're like, "Oh, no, he did it." So he called it. He's the commander-in-chief. So everybody leaves, and he and I are standing awkwardly in the middle of the Oval Office right over the rug by that coffee table. And I said, "Mr. President, thanks for the moments. This is very important. I got some big national security things I need to talk to you about that I've heard, and I think you know, and what do we do? But first, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, "Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago." And he goes, "No, I didn't do that." And he's arguing with me. I said, "Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that." And he goes, "Oh, you talk about natural gas." "Yes, sir." He said, No, you misunderstand. He said, "What I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG." I said, "No, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security." It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble. Who is running the country? I don't know who put the paper in front of him, but he didn't know.
Now, the credit for this clip goes to the Free Press. This is a snippet of the full interview that will be released this Monday on X. So definitely check it out for yourself. I definitely will watch the rest of it. But my whole takeaway right up front with this is very simple. I'm not even upset at Biden. I'm upset at Mike Johnson. Why weren't you more vocal in claiming that the cabinet needs to invoke the 25th Amendment? I don't understand. Why do you now come out and tell a story like this? That's what bothers me, right? I mean, we already know the media covered this up. Democrats covered this up. But why, as a Republican, why would you not say anything? And that's why in the comment section, people are giving it to him here. Nick Sorter says this: Speaker Johnson should have been calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked right then and there. I know, I just said that. It's so interesting. It's difficult to say which is worse, Biden, who has no clue what is going on, or Kamala Harris. Yeah, that's a pickle for sure. And another user said this: Speaker Johnson knew this and did nothing. He waits until now that Biden nightmare is over to say this. He allowed our country to be devastated knowing Joe Biden was mentally incapacitated, and he kept it to himself. This is something the American people should have been told, although we already knew it. So the bottom line here, guys, is this is why I don't believe anything that Mike Johnson says. In fact, I don't believe any congressman or congresswoman. Now, I report the news as I see it, but I don't take their word for anything because I know they see things that they don't say out loud. That's number one. And number two, which moves us to the next clip here, I bet there's a lot of Democrats out there that feel the same way about the Democratic Party. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Here's Charlemagne saying out loud that he finally starts to believe that everything that the Democrats were saying is not true.
And Chuck is like, this guy's dangerous. He's a threat to democracy. He's a fascist. He's flirting with Hitler. That's the fake shit.
Yeah, but that's too much.
I'm agreeing.
Like, that rhetoric is too much.
I'm agreeing with you. And now I think what they have to realize is,
listen, I'm with you, Chris. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't call Donald Trump.
Changing my energy for what it's worth. Democrats, Chris Morrow's not changing his energy.
I'm with you. Listen,
if I'm the last one on this fucking
I never called Donald Trump a fascist based off anything I heard from Democrats. I said that because of things I heard come out of Donald Trump's mouth, right? But guess what? I don't even know if I believe it anymore. And you know
talk that shit.
But only because of how they're acting. I'm like, well, goddamn, maybe it ain't that much of a threat.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They lied to you.
And by the way, that don't change my vote. I would have still voted for the vice president. Right. But it's just like...
Y'all still believe he voted for Kamala Harris for president?
Right.
Nah, yes, he
I
did.
fuck with Kamala. I genuinely, but for reasons, right? I voted for the vice president.
Yes.
No, I voted for the vice president because, number one, I do believe in her, but also that's my friend. That's a person I consider a friend. You're not going to support your friend for president?
Yo, you really think that Charlemagne voted for Kamala Harris for president?
Absolutely. Because back in
Okay, so what's worse? Someone who truly believed in Kamala Harris and bought into the idea that she was the answer for president, or someone who knew that she was a terrible candidate and voted for her anyway? I don't know, but you guys let me know about that or what you think about that in the comment section below. But listen, most of the Democratic rhetoric, or Democrats in general, they don't believe in anything that they're saying to the American public. They're saying it for political points or political theater. We know that, okay? Moreover, that's why the Democratic Party, they have no identity at this point. They have no leader. And even the left-wing media, they're in shambles too. So, yeah, they might want to stop with the Trump derangement syndrome at this time and just move on. But I know there are people out there who cannot do that. They are who they are, and some of those individuals, and one in particular, Don Lemon, is a prime example of that. So in this next clip, he is poking fun because of the story of Trump moving the inauguration inside the building because it was going to be a small crowd size.
Too cold, Donald, really, to have your inauguration outside because the temperature is going to be 23 degrees. Okay, let's just put this into perspective. It was 7 for Reagan. It was 22 for Kennedy. It was 28 degrees for Barack Obama, with winds somewhere in the 20-mile-an-hour range as well. It was freezing. So I'm not sure it's the cold. I think maybe it's that you're afraid of the crowd sizes and that hotels are still available. And then a lot of people, as many people as, showed up for, Barack Obama or Joe Biden or whatever, won't be showing up for your inauguration. I think it's the crowd sizes. That number is more important than the temperature number.
Now, he wasn't the only person pushing this stupid idea. Here's Chris Murphy. He canceled the outdoor inauguration because the mall was going to be empty and totally embarrassing. And all he cares about are the tech bros and the ruling class billionaires. And so it's better if they are the only ones in the room anyway. Now, of course, people in the comment section gave it to Chris Murphy over this stupid post, and I definitely agree with them. Now, here is what Congressman Mullen had to say in response. Are you serious? Every hotel in D.C. area was booked by November 8th. 312 electoral votes, and he won the popular vote with 77 million. Get over it. You lost. Yep, and that is the whole point. And you have to ask yourself, why are they so salty about all this, knowing that it was a decisive win? Don't be mad at Trump and don't hate on him. You should be mad at your own party. You should be going after the people that put you guys in this position to begin with. Now, you have to ask yourself this question, which Amuse did on X. They said, the Democrats seem more upset that Trump moved the inauguration inside than Republicans. I wonder why. And that brings me to what I've been led to believe at this point, is that it's actually been moved inside due to security reasons. I really do believe that. There's even people reporting that at this point, he may be sworn in inside the White House. Now, how did we go from being outside to the Capitol Rotunda, where only congressmen and their significant other can be in there, to the White House? Now, that's just speculation, right? They have not confirmed that. That's what some people are saying online. regardless of the matter, clearly there's been a lot of security issues, including local police departments unwilling to support Metro Police in securing the inauguration. So that's pitiful as well.
Well, we've got some breaking news for you. It was just announced that only Congress and the Senate, along with their spouses, they will be the only people allowed in the rotunda for the swearing in. Terry, your initial thoughts on that breaking news?
Yeah, I mean, all throughout the day, there's been a lot of questions. Brian Glenn was just on us at the top of the show talking about a lot of people are wondering that are already in D.C., already out there, have their tickets, are wondering what they're going to be doing, how they'll be able to view it. Will they be able to view it, Bo?
Yeah, this is kind of what I thought is just the VIPs, so to speak, the ones that are really closely involved will be the ones closest to him. And again, that may be a weather reason, but it could also be a security reason.
Yeah, that's what Brian was saying.
Now, I want you guys to entertain this really quick. What does it say about our Secret Service and our capabilities as a federal government and spending trillions of dollars on the Department of Defense? But in the end, we cannot even protect our own president because this guy is now driving around with anti-drone technology on the SUVs. And if it does end up being confirmed that they can't even swear him inside the Capitol Rotunda, I mean, what are we doing here, folks? What purpose are these agencies serving? I mean, we need to truly clean house if this ends up being the case. Okay, so here's a question for you guys to answer in the comment section below. Do you agree that Trump should just be sworn in privately? Don't even have a ceremony. Just go ahead and bypass it. A couple months down the line, he can have a larger rally or a ceremony to bring people back and even maybe provide some type of, I don't know, compensation for people who spent thousands of dollars to come see him and it didn't work out. Let me know what you guys' thought process is about all of this in the comment section below. Now, speaking of Trump, his border czar, Tom Homan, did issue a major warning to blue cities, obviously sanctuary cities, that a massive national raid will take place on day one, January 20th, this Monday. Chicago, potentially New York, LA, and other places where they are going to go in, ICE is, and arrest people that are here illegally that have committed crimes and get them out. So, of course, there was a huge meltdown over that, and we talked about it. So if you guys want to check out that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.